Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Whoever's paying attention, welcome to the number one most ignored fantasy football podcast in America. I am Greg Romero Wilson, and I am your host for Fantasy Football Hush Reality. Now, it's week 12, guys, and again, how did we get here? How did we get to week 12? What a season of massive disappointments. You know when you finally have that game where you want at least one or two of your players to go off, every single week. And yet it seems like you're always waiting for those players to go off. And nobody, and for me, and every single week, it seems like the guy I was playing, his team would have one or two players go off, and that would be what beat me. And every week, none of my players would go off. But then finally, last week, in week 11, not week 11, week 10, my team in my league of record finally went off. Finally went crazy. Everybody saw it, and it was fucking phenomenal. I was the highest scorer in the league that week, and I thought, here we go, baby. My team, this is it. March to the playoffs. Here we go. And then last week, they summarily reverted to their old self of eating a bag of dicks. Lots of dick eating. So bad. It just was not cool, man. And so now, here we are. There's 2 weeks left in the regular season. Unless you're in one of those weirdo fantasy football leagues where you actually have your championship on week 17, which I think there's absolutely no worse way to run your league than by having your playoffs, your championship game on a week when so many good teams rest their good players. Paul Morris, Ascaros, Scott T. Reynolds, thanks for tuning in. I'm talking fantasy football. Are you still in it? It's week 13, or week 12 rather, 2 games left. And for me, in all my leagues, these are must wins. Now, okay, here's what's hilarious. In the one league that with the most money on the line is my comedians league. It's the league with all these great comedians, Jay Hollingsworth, Kabir Singh, Rene Garcia, Jack Jr., Brett Riley, Dave Williamson, all these incredible comedians are all in this league. Manny Maldonado is also in it. And I only say that, and Manny's a wonderful comedian, and that's why I have him in it. But talk about a shit talker. He's the guy that's impervious. Like when I get boastful, I'm like, I'm gonna crush you. My guys can't be stopped. I lose. I shit the bed. That is a guaranteed shit the bed week for me. Manny's one of those guys impervious to that kind of shit talking. Like he can just go around, I'm going to crush you, get you, I'm the best, you're my hoe, blah, blah. And he wins, and it drives me crazy. But God bless him. That's what makes this so fun. But, okay, so in my league of record, so back to the Comedians League, that's the one with the most money on the line. And it's a $100 entry, which some of you are going to say, oh, that's it. But listen, for a lot of guys, they don't want to put in more than $60 to $100, And I'm not one of those guys, even though I've got the money, I'm not one of those guys that, even in daily fantasy, I'm in the $1. I do the 25-cent ones, I do the $1 ones, and if I feel like I've really nailed the lineup, I might go to $3. But I'm not throwing my money away on this. I enjoy the emotional, the fun part, the predictive nature of it. But if you're one of those people that wants to gamble all your money, well, hey, listen, that's on you. So anyways, but the first prize is $700 in that league. It's a 12-person league. And so somehow, this is my worst team. This is the team that has Saquon Barkley. My first 2 round picks were Saquon Barkley and Antonio Brown. Okay? And obviously, Antonio Brown played one game, gave me one game where he did great, and then Saquon is clearly not Saquon this year. That ever since that injury, he has just not been the same. He's not looked good. He's been averaging half as many yards. He's in the 50s. He's definitely not playing healthy. And so I'm hoping after this bye week, I hope this is the week. I need him to come alive. I need him to go back to being fucking Saquon Barkley. So I did. But somehow that team, which I made a couple of what I felt were fairly shrewd trades, that team I've managed to rebuild into a team that somehow, despite losing those elements, it's still in there. It's in number. It's been sitting in fifth place, like everyone else, like flies up and down the boards between like second and third and sixth and seventh, and I've been sitting there right in fifth place in this league, right in play the whole time. That's where I'm going to enter the playoffs. Jeremy Schwartz, my bestest and longest friend in the whole world. Jeremy Schwartz is watching. How are you, buddy? I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're looking forward to a good Thanksgiving. But back to this team. Somehow this team keeps winning. And in fact, it should be second in the league. Except for the 1 week, that was the team that 1 week is somehow in a drunken stupor. There may have been cocaine involved. I know I meant to put in Latavius Murray. And I also had that week, I think it was Jalen Samuels, somebody else playing for an injury. And I meant to put in Latavius Murray and somehow put in Anthony Lazard. Yeah. And that cost me the game. And because Todd Hamlin, welcome to the show. And because of that, I have like the second or the third best record instead of the second best record in the league. And so I really should be in like second or third place. And instead I'm in fifth place because of that one. I don't know. So stupid. That one burns me still. That was like week 6 or 7. And it just still fucking gets me. But somehow that team survives. That piece of shit team somehow survives. Now, in my league of record, where I made a huge trade to get Patrick Mahomes, and that was the team where I had the big week and everything exploded, and I was like, this is it, I got you now, motherfuckers, and then last week didn't even hit 100 points, did like 95 points. It was fucking garbage. So I have to win this week or I'm out of the playoffs. I don't think I can make it unless, everything would have to break right with all the guys stuck with me also losing so that if I won by enough points, that's the other thing. I'm not a points leader. I'm not going to beat anybody on points, so I have to have a better record. These are must-win games for me this weekend. In my league of record, if I don't win, and I'm playing the Hogs, who are the only team to get back-to-back championships, who I lost to in the championship last year, a game I should have easily won, except CJ Anderson comes off the couch and fucking runs for 103 yards or whatever the fuck, and so must win there. In my family and friends league, that was one where one trade was great. I traded away Tyreek Hill for Kyler Murray and Darren Waller, and that has turned out to be very good. But then I fuck myself. I take myself and I take my dick and I go run to the back and I fuck myself. Because I traded Le'Veon Bell and DJ Chark, which are two good players, but also guys, I felt like DJ, didn't know what was coming with Foles coming back. And then, Bell, he's on paper he's done well, but he hasn't had a single breakout game, So I was like, okay, these guys are underperforming. Send them off, get Aaron Rodgers. Because at the time, Aaron Rodgers had 2 30-plus point games in a row. And we were all like, he's back. And the reason I did that was because Kyler Murray was... okay, so Kyler Murray had those 2 out of 3 games against San Francisco. Sorry, I got a text from my wife in the middle of that, and it completely threw me off. And so I traded for Aaron Rodgers, who then went out and got me 9 points. It cost me a game, and then went out and got me like 11 points. It cost me another game. And so now I don't think we're going to make the playoffs, even if I win the next 2 games. Everything has to break right for me to get into the playoffs at this point in that league. But I'm still playing. I'm still here. It drives me crazy because it's the league that I started with my family and my friends. And my family are just fucking, my cousin Aaron's just like, and I'm like, all right, Carr or Goff? Wild, man. Okay, our first matchup question of the show. And again, if you have any lineup questions, let's chop it up. Let's talk about it. Because as you know, it's always easier to tell what somebody else should do over yourself. Now, for me, I'm going to say David Carr. Just because David Carr's been playing better. Goff he's one of those guys like Aaron Rodgers. He had 2 good games, and then the rest have been really fucking mediocre. So, looking at the matchups, I mean, Oakland versus the Jets, and they're in New Jersey. I mean, listen, he's been playing good. And, it's so funny. Adam Rank and I from NFL Fantasy Live, we were sitting down in preseason. We were playing this little comedy tour that we did together in the summer. And we were talking about, how outrageous it was that everybody was doubting John Gruden. And we were like, the last time that John Gruden coached the NFL, he coached the Buccaneers to a Super Bowl against his previous team. So he basically played himself in the Super Bowl. And people were like, and then all he'd been doing is watching games and breaking down tape for 10 years. I knew this guy knew what he was doing. Now we're seeing it. He's setting David Carr up for success. I would go with Carr. Let's see, in Los Angeles. And it's weird. Los Angeles was just on the Sunday night game, and now they're on the Monday night game. And I think that's a lot. I feel like the people at ESPN and the NFL Network, whatever, I think they're getting kind of lazy. They're like, listen, the Rams are here. We're here. Let's just keep showing the Rams so we don't have to fucking go anywhere. I think they're sick of traveling. Oh, yeah, and Goff is up against Baltimore. And listen, Baltimore, the heat on the offense, I mean, I said Baltimore was the number one defense that over the season. They were the guys that I said was going to be number one. They haven't played up to that. But lately, they have absolutely been on fire. So, I would say you go ahead. I think it's going to be a long night for LA. I think it's going to be very tough. I mean, look what they did to the Patriots last week. I mean, this is a very tough, or not the Patriots. Was it the Patriots? Who was it they played last? Anyways, I mean, the defense was just all over them and put up huge points. I think it was the Patriots. So, if I were you, no, it was not the Patriots. But either way, they've been playing incredible football, and I would not play Goff. I would definitely go with David Carr. Again, if you have any matchup questions, now's the time. I'll tell you a guy I really like this week, and nobody's talking about him really. Well, now, I'm playing Baker Mayfield. This, in my league of record, the one where I absolutely must win. This is a must win to stay in the hunt. Of course, Mahomes is talk about a cursed season, okay? I trade for Mahomes. Mahomes comes back, helps me destroy everybody with 41 points. Then he comes out, and on Monday Night Football in Mexico, everyone's like, last time he did this, 6 touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, stop saying that, because anytime you say that, it means he's going to, and sure enough, he had his lowest yardage, everything totals of his entire career when I needed him the most. He absolutely, and you can't blame the guy, he's playing off that kneecap injury, but I mean, it's like, God damn it. It's just, so that one, on the week when the guy I was playing, who I normally beat, and that was the other thing, I've beaten him so many times in a row, I knew he was due, and of course, John Brown goes out and scores 2 touchdowns. Fuck you, John Brown. So, and then in my other league, I still squeaked out the win, even though, again, okay, so let's just get into this, okay? But anyways, Baker Mayfield. I'm playing Baker Mayfield because it's either him or Garoppolo. Garoppolo's up against Green Bay, and all of his wide receivers are injured. I mean, he has Emmanuel Sanders looks like he's injured. Deebo Samuels is now banged up. George Kittle, obviously. And listen, if you're going to go, what's up, Rob? What are you doing, little Rob? You into fantasy football? Because I'm talking fantasy football, baby. Joey Everline, what's up, buddy? You got any lineup questions, matchup issues? What are we talking about? So anyway, I'm going with Baker Mayfield over Jimmy Garoppolo because Baker's down there against Miami. OBJ's a little banged up, but they're saying he's going to play. He's got Jarvis Landry, awesome. But I just think he's in better shape to score than Jimmy Garoppolo is this week, and of course he's got a better matchup. So in a must-win situation, I'm going with Baker Mayfield because he's consistently, and I don't think it's a gamble. I don't think it's a dice roll like it would have been earlier in the season when he was sucking. He has had 3 very good 19 points, 26 points. So the trajectory is solid, and the matchup's fantastic. So, and Njoku comes back, although as we've seen, sometimes when you bring back a player, as with the Rams bringing back Devontae Adams, sometimes bringing that guy back and trying to integrate him throws off the chemistry that you built, and they end up having a really difficult game. And so let's hope that isn't the case, but we've seen that happen a few times this season already. So, and the other person I'm gambling on is the Detroit Lions defense. And really, I'm playing them because they're playing Washington. And I feel my best bet defensively is against this rookie who seems to be throwing a lot of interceptions. And the running game, yes, Darius Guice is back. But again, trying to stuff him back into that role may not be that big of a deal. I think Detroit now. I thought that about the Dallas defense last week. Dallas versus Jeff Driscoll in Detroit. I was like, okay, this Dallas defense should feast. I saw a pick six. I saw a sacks galore. It was going to be, you want sacks, we got sacks. Come down to Fifth Avenue sacks. Because I thought Dallas was going to rock them, and instead of the 19 projected points, I thought they were going to do better than that. I thought it'd be like a 25 to 29 point night, and they got me like 6 points. And that didn't help either, because he had the Raiders defense versus Cincinnati, and that one played exactly according to plan, and he got 29 points or some bullshit like that. So, that sucked. Debbie Bonneberger, how are you, darling? Thank you. I'm talking about fantasy football. Are you in a fantasy league, like at your office? Are you still in it? Are you winning? Because sometimes, those people that care the least, like my buddy Raj Shah in my Comedians League, he's running an auto draft team, didn't update it, has had weeks where he didn't even play a tight end, or he had guys on bye in his lineup, and he's one game better than me in my friends and family league. So sometimes it's whoever cares the least ends up winning. Let's get into it. Indianapolis versus Houston. I think this is going to be a great fantasy football game. I think everybody's going to score a bit on this one. Now, this is a situation, T.Y. Hilton potentially coming back for this, listen, there's no way that's going to hurt. That can only help that team, help Jacoby Brissett, help Jack Doyle, Eric Ebron. I think, that raising tide raises all boats. I think that bodes well. If he plays, I like everybody on the Indianapolis side, including, although I guess Marlon Mack, is he banged up? Is he playing? I'm not sure. So you got to monitor that. On the Houston side of the ball, listen. He had a bad game that last week. Low point, I think, gave me like 7-8 points. It was very, very bad. And so what I think... what is demonstrative is that anytime Deshaun Watson has a bad game, he comes roaring back with a 30-pointer. And even though he is my quarterback in my Comedians League, which is the league where I have the best shot, so I do want him to succeed, I'm playing against him in my league of record in my must-win. But here's the thing. I just believe that he's going to have a 30-point game, but I think Baker Mayfield's going to be right in there, 27 and 29 himself. I think he's going to have a pretty monster game. So I'm not that worried about him having a big night. And in fact, I am counting on it. Listen, Duke Johnson kind of came alive last week. They seem to like Duke Johnson, and he was running hard, man. But I do expect him to still keep the dynamic of Carlos Hyde being the first, second down back, and him being the passing down back. But expect him to be out of the field a little bit more. I like as a flex play. I like Duke Johnson in that one. Of course, you got to play D-Hop. Kenny Stills. If you're playing Kenny Stills, you're taking a dart throw because obviously the inconsistency, very difficult to figure out what's going on with him. Will Fuller, I think, might be coming back, so monitor that situation. And I wouldn't play either defense necessarily. Indianapolis' defense is pretty good, but they're playing in Houston against a high-powered. I don't like either defense in that one. And I played Indy like 2 weeks ago in a good matchup, and they did me right. But I don't like them this week. Seattle and Philadelphia. Listen, they keep saying Philadelphia is so strong against the run, but Marlon Mack is having one of those seasons, and I don't see Marlon Mack being slowed down. And if they try to slow him down, that's obviously going to open up the game. And for me, the play here with Tyler Lockett being banged up, even if he's on the field, we saw this with Emmanuel Sanders last week, where Emmanuel Sanders, went out there banged up, and guess what? He ended up walking off the field and not being effective. I did not play him in any of my leagues, even though he was starting. I went with Debo. I should have gone with Debo in both leagues. I went with Debo in one, Marquise. Listen, bench Marquise Brown. He had the one game that he's going to have. It's over. But the guy, for me, is Jacob Hollister. And I think he's wildly underprojected. I think he's a bargain in daily fantasy. I think him and Ryan Griffin have proven that they're every game guys. They're going to see targets. They're what we expected to see more of out of Zach Ertz, out of these guys that are actively involved in the passing game. I think you're absolutely going to see that out of Jacob Hollister and Ryan Griffin. The trajectory's there. The map is there. They've clearly, the trail of evidence is there. I think you can trust. So for me, the guy I love in this is Jacob Hollister. On the Philadelphia side, I'm interested to see if Zach Ertz, where he's at in this. I traded him away. And of course, I traded him away. He had an amazing game. The best game of the season, the week I traded him away. But then the next week, not so great. So which is it? And it seems like Dallas Goedert is really eating his lunch. He's really the guy that's kind of that's just nipping at him, taking pieces away from him every single game. So Ertz's value is not what you drafted him to be. I think I took him in like the third round or fourth round. Felt so stupid. Now, a guy that might be coming back, and again, the Philadelphia defense, the Seattle defense is really beginning to gel, especially in the corners, in the back end, with Shaquille Griffin and those guys. So, I mean, even though it's not the best matchup. I mean, Philadelphia may have Alshon Jeffrey coming back. If they do, I don't know. I don't know. Alshon Jeffrey, he's been pretty disappointing. To be honest, he's been disappointing. The guy, Jordan Howard, is he going to play? Is he going to play? If he plays, how good is he going to be? Now they have Ajayi. Is Ajayi going to get, I don't know. I kind of want to say stay away from everybody except for maybe Ertz and Goddard. Those are probably the only two guys that I think you can play in Philadelphia. I wouldn't touch anybody else. And in fact, I do like the Seattle defense in this one because that Philly offense has been struggling so much. And listen, Seattle, big names, not big names, they play great defense. They weren't so great at the beginning of the season. I think they've gelled a lot more now. I'm actually playing them in one of my leagues, especially since Philadelphia's kind of been all over the map offensively. And with Jordan Howard kind of beat up. Detroit at Washington. I mean, listen, I like the Detroit defense in this one only because of they're playing against the rookie out of Ohio State. Now, that being said, listen, guys, I got him in, I think I picked him up in, I hope I got him in 2 leagues. I know I got him in 1. I'm playing him in my Comedians League. Bo Scarborough. And listen, I love Alabama running backs. I've got Kenyon Drake. I've been in on Derrick Henry all season. I drafted him, I think, in the 3rd round in my league of record, and he's the number 4 running back on the season. Nobody talks about him because he doesn't get any PPR points, but the guy's a beast. Kenyon Drake. I was excited about Kenyon Drake. Mark Ingram. I was excited about Mark Ingram. I love Alabama running backs. I didn't even know Detroit had Bo Scarborough on their team. And the fact they had him on their practice squad, I think is a testament to just kind of how dumb some of those decisions being made up in Detroit are. Although but I expect Bo Scarborough to come out and have a day. He is the sneaky pick of daily fantasy. I just picked him up. Do you guys play draft? Have you tried draft? It's basically all you do it's all just drafting. So it's not even like you go on and buy certain players and everybody can buy the same players. You're in a draft, and so once a player's gone, he's gone. So it's a little bit different, and apparently I'm great at that because I've been winning all kinds of money over on that site. So check that out, Draft. It's by FanDuel. So it's just a little different game. All right. So anyways, but Bo Scarborough, this is the play, guys. Go out and grab him if he's on your waiver wire if you didn't pick him up. I think this guy is going to feast against this Washington defense who's going to be on the field for too long. The defense will be on the field. They'll wear him down the running game. I think Detroit, I like Detroit's defense. Not big on their offense with the exception of Bo Scarborough. Oakland at the Jets. I mean, listen, I talked about this a little bit earlier. I like Oakland's. I like Ryan Griffin. I like Jamison Crowder. You have to go with those guys because the consistency is there. Everybody else is a dart throw. It's true. I drafted Robbie Anderson at the beginning of the year because he fucked me in the Super Bowl last year. And of course, he double fucked me by just sucking this year. Oakland, on the other hand, I mean, I think now the Jets are pretty tough against the. Hold on 1 second. All right, back to the show. Sorry, guys. I was trying to get a boarding group on Southwest Airlines. I completely forgot I was supposed to check in at noon. And I was like, oh my God. And of course, I got B boarding group. B18. There's going to be no overhead space. It's going to suck. But sorry about that. If you had to watch that, that was just me trying to figure out, trying to get into my... anyways, moving on. Let's keep going. Oakland at New Jersey. So, yeah, I like Derek Carr. I like their passing game. I like Terrell Williams. I think Darren Waller has a very good day here. I think Darren Waller is starting to bounce back. I know he had those kind of weird couple of games where he wasn't doing very well, but I think last week I thought he'd have a bigger game than he did, but he's back to being productive and being involved. I like him in this. And I like Derek Carr. So there you go. And Josh Jacobs, of course. You got to play him. I think Josh, even though the Jets are pretty good against the run, obviously you got to play him. New Orleans at Carolina. Now, this is very interesting because the New Orleans defense, they're at home, and the New Orleans defense has been very, very good. And the Carolina defense has also been pretty good, although they got pretty manhandled last week. So, in this, I mean, obviously, Drew Brees isn't going to have the game that he had last week. I said he was going to have a great game last week. He did. But this week, Carolina's a pretty tough defense. But at home, you're still going to want to play him. He's not a daily fantasy play for me because I don't think he's going to go off. Carolina on the other side, obviously you're playing Christian McCaffrey, but really, I'm playing DJ Moore because, again, the consistency's been there, but I don't expect him to, go off. Because New Orleans, I believe it's Marshawn Lattimore is the corner there. Anyways, very good defense. I do like Alvin Kamara. He's managed to come out and take this team back, and he's taken back. Latavius Murray has become pretty, despite how great he played, he's become pretty irrelevant now that Kamara's been back. So you're going to want to play Kamara. Those are really obviously Michael Thomas, but I think again Michael Thomas is still going to be productive, but not. I don't know that he goes off. I think these are two very good defensive teams. So temper your expectations on those, particularly when it comes to Jared Cook. Listen, although he's been surprising me, he was totally uninvolved. Now he's kind of involved, but if there was a game where he's going to take a dip, I think it's going to be this game. Cleveland at Miami, play Cleveland. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Listen, Jalen Samuels, he's stepping in there. Connor looks like garbage again. Looks like he's beat up, so... Looks like Jalen Samuels should have a good day. And, the Pittsburgh defense is still very, very good, so I'm not that excited about... Joe Mixon's the one guy that I'm excited about on that side of the ball. But, in this game, Pittsburgh Juju, I think, is out. I think he's injured. If he plays, he's going to be completely banged up. James Washington is like the sneaky flex play, I guess, because Cincinnati does suck on defense. So, and what's funny is when you do have but Pittsburgh is very good on defense. So, if anything, play the Pittsburgh defense. But that's really the only play that I see there. Maybe Jalen Samuels. That's it. Everything else, I just think is garbage. Giants versus Chicago. Listen, I know David Montgomery sucked a dick last week. Thank God, because I needed it to get my win. But I think he bounces back this week. I think he has a very good day against the New York Giants. The Giants, Evan Ingram looks like he's going to be out again. This guy, you know what? This is the problem with him. This is why I didn't necessarily want him. But the games he's been in, he's been very productive earlier in the season. But since, the foot issue, it's not been good. But you never know. Now, for me, the big question in this game is... Saquon Barkley. Which Saquon Barkley do we get? Who shows up? Who comes back for this? Is it going to be the Saquon that's been banged up, giving you 50 yards? Or is he going to come back like feeling better? He needed the extra week of rest. The leg feels better, and he really comes out and churns yards and churns and burns. And I'm praying, sweet baby Jesus. And let me tell you something. It's been a very good year for me. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. But I really would like to see Saquon back to form. If that's a possibility, I'd really like that. Not that I believe that, of all of the prayers, God's going to be like, listen, guys, these are all complicated, but that Saquon one, I can make that happen. Although, if he does go off, expect me to be here on Tuesday. Praise glory, hallelujah. We'll see. Chicago, there's a problem Chicago has. While the defense should be a decent play, the defense is... Okay, remember when Jacksonville quit on Bortles? I feel like Chicago's defense has pretty much quit on Trubisky. Now, if Chase Daniel comes in, I think they have a better chance because I think the defense might think, okay, great, now we have a chance to actually win this game. But I believe the defense has lost faith in Trubisky, and when that happens, they just don't play that hard. They're more or less just worried about not getting injured themselves and making it to the next season. I feel this is where Chicago's at, which does open the door for Saquon to have a big day. And, of course, Darius Slayton, the silver lining. This guy seems to have really get open. He seems to get open and in the end zone, which we like. So I like Darius Slayton. On the Chicago side of the ball, I do think they're going to have to run the ball. And I even though it was a lot of Tariq Cohen last week, I think David Montgomery has a good game. I like him in this game. Moving on, Denver at Buffalo. Denver is a better defense than their record because obviously they've struggled at quarterback. The guy that I like on the Denver side of the ball, obviously Philip Lindsay. Buffalo has proven to not be that great better against the pass than the run. They're like middle of the pack. I think like around 16, 17 for run. So I do expect Philip Lindsay to get off the schneid and actually get in there and do some stuff. Now, Buffalo side of the ball, Devin Singletary's been doing pretty good, but Denver defense is no laughing matter. They're a pretty good little defense right there. And so I'm not that excited, particularly, again, their pass rush is great. So I don't expect Josh Allen to have a particularly good day. I don't expect John Brown to have another 2 touchdown 30-yard motherfucker. Anyways. And I also don't think that the Buffalo defense is necessarily such a safe play here. And I do like Noah Fant. Listen, clearly this Allen kid is looking for Noah Fant. He went to him like 3 times in the end zone. If they would have connected, it really would have helped me out quite a bit. It's really sad to see him. And he was clearly interfered with on some of those calls. And maybe some of them should have been like fouls on both teams, do the play over. That would have been nice too. But it's when it's not your day, it's not your day. Now that doesn't mean I have lost hope. I don't. Hope springs eternal. But so I don't know that the Buffalo defense. It's not the worst play in the world because I think they are going to get some sacks. But it's not like it was last week. So Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Now. This is one of those things. Okay, let's talk about Atlanta's defense because Atlanta's defense has secretly, quietly been playing pretty good. And Tampa Bay, as you know, has been making a lot of mistakes. So I honestly believe the Atlanta defense might be a play this week because Tampa Bay because he loves to throw interceptions. Let's be clear about that. But they're not so good that I don't think both Mike Evans and actually Jameis Winston now Jameis maybe not so much because I expect him to throw like 2 or 3 interceptions, but I think Chris Godwin and Mike Evans both have great days here, as should Julio Jones should have an incredible day. Calvin Ridley should have his second go-off day. He should absolutely go off. Calvin Ridley, get him in daily fantasy leagues. He's going to have a great day. Now, in the running game, I mean, Tampa Bay is actually great against running game. Don't play Brian Hill. I think he has an awful day. Now, on the opposite side of the ball, though, I mean, Ronald Jones was terrible last week. I don't like him. I don't like the other guy. I just don't like him. I don't think you're ever going to get what you want out of them. They're not. He's no Bo. So. So I'm not, but definitely play those wide receivers. And Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate is starting to connect, starting to be that. I like Cameron Brate in that. Obviously, if Austin Hooper plays, you got to play Austin Hooper. Jacksonville at Tennessee. Listen, come on, Derrick Henry. This is set up for you. You've had a week's rest. You're coming off a bye. Jacksonville is middle of the pack at best against the run. I think that, and you're at home. I love this. I think this is just fucking I think Derrick Henry chews it up, baby. I think this is another big day, another 200-yarder, another 2-3 touchdowner. Now, I could be wrong, but knock on wood if you're with me, baby. All right. Jacksonville. Now, listen, I love Leonard Fournette. All this running, no touchdowns. Jesus Christ, Jacksonville. But Nick Foles is back. And what I like in there is the passing game. They are tough to run against. This Tennessee defense is very, very good, despite their 5-5 record. I also like Jonnu Smith in this one. If you need a tight end, I think Jonnu Smith probably has a pretty good game. And I think Anthony Brown, I think he might have a pretty decent game. Jacksonville, I mean, you got to play DJ Chark. You got to play Fournette, even though I don't expect him to have a very good game. And, it'll be interesting to see if Nick Foles can turn this up. But that's it. I think DJ Chark, Fournette are the only two plays there. And really, you could play the Tennessee defense because Nick Foles he's obviously still got some game rust, so he might make some mistakes. Benjamin Duncan, welcome to the show. Dallas at New England. Oh, the pain of it all. We're playing in New England. But listen, here's the thing. And I dropped Brady this week to pick up Baker Mayfield. I really think we are, in fact, seeing the decline of Tom Brady finally. Listen, when he throws it down the field, it's inaccurate. It's not good. The downfield pass, to me, is not there. I don't know if it's gone. I don't know if he doesn't have the receivers he needs to get it going. Now, that being said, he's Tom Brady. And anytime he has that kind of shit performance, like I was saying about Deshaun Watson, he comes roaring back. He's at home. The Dallas defense is good, but not great. Although Michael Bennett it's a revenge game for Michael Bennett. So he is going to be coming, man. He is going to be coming after him. And that's the only way to stop Tom Brady is to actually pressure him and get to his feet and make him scared. Make him throw. And that's why there's no long ball, because he's throwing the ball in a second and a half because he doesn't want to get hit. If you get to him, if you hit him, which I think might happen, listen, look for Michael Bennett to wreck shop. Okay, he's coming out motivated to get to and that is the only prayer that the Cowboys have. The defense at home, they're going to take away Ezekiel Elliott. Do not expect much from either that or Amari Cooper. But I think they're going to take away Zeke. They may focus on taking away Amari, which might open up Zeke. Believe it or not, because we've been so pass dominant this particular season, they may actually find themselves taking away Zeke or taking away Amari, which might open things up for Zeke in the short passing game. We'll see. But Dallas will have to play the game of their lives. And let's be clear, Dallas tends to not live up to the moment. Although they were saying that Dallas tends to live up to their competition and play down to their competition. I think that that's true too. And if they play up to their competition, and if Michael Bennett gets out there and wrecks shop and does what they hired him to do, they have a chance. look at what I'm wearing. Look at this. Now, while they have a chance, that doesn't mean they're, like I said, Tom Brady bounces back pretty well. Which brings us to I personally, I don't think Tom Brady, he's not the guy that he used to be. He used to get you 25 to 30 points per game, guaranteed, and more. He's not that guy anymore. I mean, without Gronk, he just doesn't have the compliments that he had before. And also, again, I think we're finally seeing diminishing returns in arm strength. And not that he's done after this season, but I think we're finally really seeing it. Green Bay at San Francisco. Now, Aaron Rodgers is due for a bounce back. And I have to play him because Kyler Murray is on bye week. So, which sucks because he's playing San Francisco. Like, what bad planning on my part. But again, I plan to use him more for those 2 games versus San Francisco where Kyler ended up scoring 23 and 25 points anyway. So I should have played him the first time. I fucked myself. So Green Bay, San Francisco. San Francisco, again, I don't play Jimmy G. All of his receivers are banged up. He's down to Dante Pettis and Dwelly, and they see Dwelly coming now. Dwelly isn't going to be able to just sneak out the way that he's been doing. So don't expect Dwelly to have that 2-touchdown game that he had last week. So I don't particularly... Now, I do... Again, the San Francisco defense is very good. So again, I wouldn't play... I mean, you have to play Aaron Jones, but expect less out of Aaron Jones. And the guy that's going to have to beat him is going to have to be Aaron Rodgers. He's going to have to beat him with his arm because I think that San Francisco defense is going to stonewall him at the line. And so I think Green Bay is going to... If they're going to have a shot, they got to win with their arm. Green Bay is rested. I think he's coming out... I think he's due for a bounce back. So I think again, they might have a chance at winning this. And if they do, it will be on Aaron Rodgers' arm. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a good day, it's over. Because Aaron Jones, I don't think is going to be able to carry them against the San Francisco defense. So it's tough to say. But I mean, obviously you have to play Aaron Jones. I personally have to play Aaron Rodgers. Trade deadline passed. So it doesn't matter. Baltimore at the Rams. I mean, again, this Baltimore defense is on fire. The offense is on fire. Of course, you can't trust any of their wide receivers except, just the tight end, Mark Andrews. You absolutely play Mark Andrews. You can't trust either wide receiver. Obviously, you're going to like Mark Ingram. You obviously love Lamar Jackson. And I love the Baltimore defense, especially with an LA offense that's quite frankly struggling. Don't play Jared Goff. Even Brandon Cook's back, the whole thing. Cooper Kupp's been bad. All of them bad. Todd Gurley, if you have to play him, you have to play him. But he's, hopefully they get the ball down on the 1-yard line and Gurley can run it in because he's not breaking anything for more than, 3-4 yards. So there's not a lot of great plays here. Gerald Everett ate a dick last week. Thanks, Gerald. I played you and went to see you live. You were barely on the fucking field. I kept looking for you. I'm like, where is he? I was at the game live with my buddy Craig Robinson. Thank you, Craig, buddy, for those great seats. It was so awesome, dude. Fucking 50-yard line to box. It was ridiculous. So, but Baltimore, I'd say play Baltimore. LA, listen, if you got to play him, you got to play him, but don't expect too much because that Baltimore defense is fucking on fire. So that's it, guys. A lot of interesting stuff. A lot going on. Thank you, my brother Mark. Yes, I think Aaron Rodgers does actually have I think he's going to have to sling the ball to keep them in it because I think, so hopefully Aaron delivers the points for me this week. I need a win, even though I may already be out of it. And 2 wins in a row may not even get me into the playoffs, but I'm going to fight for it. And of course, I need a big game out of Baker Mayfield and the Detroit defense and Jacob Hollister. I'm sending up a lot of prayers. You guys have a great week 12. We will definitely talk next week because it's a nice, easy, open week, the week of Thanksgiving. Let's hope I have something to be thankful for. I'm Greg Romero Wilson. And this is Fantasy Football. Harsh reality. I love you guys. Have a great week.